Nobody brought up the... All right, here we go. The show open right now.
The following presentation is controversial and may be offensive to some audiences.
The right to bear arms is going up in smoke tonight for users of medical marijuana. The government says they can't have guns. Under a federal law, it seems they must sacrifice one right for another. And tonight, an advocate for medical marijuana users says that could endanger people's safety. Action News reporter Kimberly Craig tells us more about this from Chesterfield Township.
Licensed medical marijuana users are now learning that using pot for their pain means they cannot possess a gun or even ammo.
This is ridiculous. This goes beyond any logical use of law. This is not a new law. This is not any act of Congress. This is not a directive from the president. It's a new interpretation of an old law. And the fact that they waited till now to bring it out really should make us question the legitimacy of the rule and the timing as well.
Rick Thompson is the editor-in-chief of Michigan Medical Marijuana Magazine, and he's part of Big Daddy's management group in Chesterfield Township, which operates a network of medical marijuana facilities and compassion centers. And Thompson believes the ATF's letter to law enforcers and firearm dealers that clarifies federal law prohibiting medical marijuana users from having guns is more about politics than safety.
I think that it's part of a campaign on a nationwide scale to deter medical marijuana states or states that are considering medical marijuana laws from adopting them, and to deter medical marijuana states from expanding the protections that their patients and caregivers have. And it's also a way to discourage people from enrolling in the program.
ATF officials say gun dealers should treat any licensed medical marijuana user the same as they treat drug addicts, saying there's no exception under federal law.
How are you going to register for a city program to tell the officials where you're at in growing your marijuana plants, but then leave yourself with no means to defend yourself from intruders? This is a catch-22 that means people are going to get hurt in Michigan.
Thompson is also sending a letter to the National Rifle Association, or NRA, in hopes of enlisting their help in fighting the ban. In Chesterfield Township, Kimberly Craig, Channel 7 Action News.
Countdown to launch. It's the medical marijuana
Launch commit.
radio show.
Guidance is internal. Ignition sequence start. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Liftoff. We have a liftoff. Power clear.
The medical marijuana radio show is a production of the Medical Marijuana Radio Network.
You tuned in to that medical marijuana show. 855 Triple M Radio. Keep it legal, keep it legal, keep it legal, keep it legal. Hey. You tuned in to that medical marijuana show. 855 Triple M Radio. Keep it legal, keep it legal.
Folks, Denise ain't here, but we are live in Detroit. Trust me.
Okay, Steve is the host with the co-host Denise. Starting at noon Saturdays every week. Yes, we keepin' you legal. Legislators and lawyers, doctors and the growers. The show is for the people. Michigan medical marijuana, no hassle. We talk about anything, any issue we can handle. Call us up and let us know what is on your mind. And make sure when you do it legal every time. Hey.
Welcome to another Medical Marijuana Radio show, just about 12 minutes after 12 o'clock. And it is a Saturday, October 8th, 2011. I'm about to fly away with my fingers again. I've just got to figure out how to stop doing that. I don't know why that happens, but it does. Boy, welcome aboard. Denise isn't here today because she's off doing the soccer coach thing for her kids. What a great mom Denise is.
She's a good lady.
We're looking forward to come back sometime, hopefully, beginning of November. Got the rest of the month to get through. And boy, what a big month it is. The big news is the news keeps changing. It's an ever-changing playing field, and we like to keep you informed of it. One of the ways we like to do that is with RadioWeedShow.com. If you go there now, we're streaming live. You can see an image of us doing this stuff. We also, and me flapping my hands around like I'm Helen Keller on cocaine. Good Lord.
Helen Keller on cocaine. I don't see any braille on the bottle, Steve. I don't see the braille.
So there we go. Welcome. Thanks for coming, Rick Thompson and Dennis Alexander. Dennis co-hosting today, Rick on because obviously we just had the Channel 7 piece on. Can you tell us about that appearance, Rick? Fill us in on what was going on there, aside from
Enlighten us.
Yeah.
Sure, and of course, good morning to everybody.
Good afternoon. It's already afternoon.
Afternoon, 12 after 12. That's what you announced at the beginning of the show. The Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives issued a letter on September 21st, and it basically said there's no new law, no new change, but we want to tell you that you guys should remember medical marijuana is still illegal federally, and so even though we haven't done anything about it for 12 years, all of a sudden we've decided that it's time for us to take away guns from medical marijuana people. So although this is not a proactive letter, what the letter said is that it's illegal for people who are medical marijuana users or recreational marijuana users, for that matter, to own firearms. It's illegal for anyone to transfer or sell a firearm or ammunition to someone that they believe is a medical marijuana patient. Although this is not a proactive program, they're not going to come to your house and knock on the door and say, do you have pot and do you have guns? They are going to be able to use this if you're already in the clutches of law enforcement, if you've already had a jam-up situation, and they want to throw an extra charge on you, they want to use some extra power to lean.
Injury.
It certainly is adding insult to injury. And the thing is for most of our medical marijuana patients, this may not be much of a big deal because none of the people that we encounter on a daily basis are federal agents. In order to enforce federal law, you actually have to be a federal agent. So your local police can't use this against you. Your state police can't use this against you. But it does beg the question, exactly what morals is our society deciding that we have in regards to medical marijuana? You're now allowing some pimply-faced 18-year-old kid at Dunham's to decide whether or not a licensed citizen is going to be able to get a 20 gauge based on whether or not he's walking in with an extravaganza T-shirt on.
Are you of age, sir?
Exactly. And of course, they're now empowered to say no to gun or ammunition sales just on a whim, just on the thought that perhaps someone may be a medical marijuana or a recreational marijuana user. And this is a step that I don't think America should be taking. Anybody else agree with me on that?
I think you get high agreement there.
How do you think George Washington would have felt as he was charging across the Potomac, growing the largest crop of hemp in Virginia, and somebody on the other side of the river said, guess what, guys? Because you grow pot, you got to give me your sword and your gun before you charge into battle.
Yeah, well, he'd have been dead because the American forces never would have been able to raise an army in order to resist the British, because it was the gun ownership by the individual citizens that allowed us to raise those forces which repelled them.
Our first
exactly
president,
correct.
A drafter of our Constitution, the most prolific grower of marijuana in our country.
I think we need a new Minuteman force here, and I think we need to raise forces quicker in a minute. I mean, we need to do it yesterday.
Yeah, the thing is, Minutemen were so called because of their ability to grab their gear and get on in action in a very short time.
Mobilize in a minute.
We should have even a faster response time now, considering the social media opportunities that we have, considering the different ways of wireless communication that we have, and the threats that face us may not be as dramatic and real as British soldiers occupying your home, but they certainly are as dramatic and real as the government telling you what you can use as medications, where you can go, what privileges you are allowed based on what medications you take. There are bills in the legislature in Michigan here that are threatening to take away the opportunity for us to drive automobiles, to use recreational vehicles, snowmobiles, if we have any trace elements of cannabis in our system. We all know through our experience and through listening to Mr. Greene's radio program that cannabis can stay in your system, trace elements, for 30 to 45 days. If we're telling somebody that if you have a really good New Year's Eve party, you're not good to drive your car till mid-February, then I think that's the most ridiculous thing that we could possibly do to our citizens.
There's Dutch studies out there right now that state.
We're running out of first break time. I just want to, maybe we'll move this into the next break. I did want to kind of tease what's going on for the rest of the show.
Tease.
It's always good. I got to call them crackpots.
You're wishing you had Denise back, darn you?
I said tease, not cheese. So, okay, so what we got going on, what happened this week? I mean, we first made the ATF thing, and then we also had roadblock situations. So what's going on with the running out? We got like just about a minute or so before we hit break.
Let's talk about two things real quick. Narcotics enforcement checkpoints, as Dennis says, and that's a Michigan situation too. There's a California situation going on that affects medical marijuana users too that we'll talk about later on in the program.
Right.
But these narcotics checkpoints it's a new low as far as I'm concerned for law enforcement. They're setting up these big checkpoints in the middle of expressways to pull people over.
Up in the Genesee County area,
in Genesee County area so far. That's what we're looking at.
We'll talk about that.
Yep.
We'll also talk about some stuff that's been in the paper and in the news. And let me invite you in on the radio, on the telephone lines, 855-666-7234 for the Michigan Medical Marijuana Radio Show. We'll be right back, folks. Don't go away. So much to talk about. Stay right there.
back on the Medical Marijuana Radio Show. The Medical Marijuana Radio Network.
When I was young, I knew something was wrong. My mother would forget to pick me up from school.
Drugs and alcohol may make you forget your problems. And more.
Then she remembered something. Me! My mom worked hard to be in recovery. And now she is here for me. Hi, Mom!
You ready? Let's go!
For drug and alcohol treatment for you or someone you love, call 1-800-662-HELP. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
The Patient's Place for medical marijuana education and safe access is Third Coast. Beautiful downtown Ypsilanti is where you can get safe, affordable access to education and materials concerning your specific needs and quality products designed to meet your exacting needs. It's the Third Coast, 19 North Hamilton in Ypsilanti. Convenient hours, friendly, professional, compassionate. Call Third Coast today, 734-487-5402. That's the Third Coast Compassion Center in downtown Ypsilanti, 734-487-5402.
The High Times Medical Cannabis Cup is coming to Detroit on October 15th and 16th. That's right, the world's premier medical marijuana competition will be in Motown to celebrate the cannabis economy of the Great Lakes State. It's a two-day expo at Burt's Warehouse Theater, showcasing the movers and shakers of the Michigan medical marijuana industry and the merchandise that makes the machine go. There will be seminars with leaders of the medical marijuana movement, doctors, patients, researchers, growers, dispensary owners, and activists. Plus, High Times own cultivation editors Danny Danko and Nico Escondido will roll into town with the goods on growing great ganja. Be there for an amazing Saturday night VIP party featuring top musical performances and special guests. High Times will award the Medical Cannabis Cup for top indicas, sativas, hybrids, concentrates, and edibles, entered by Michigan's dispensaries and collectives. Come to Burt's Warehouse Theater on October 15 and 16. Visit medcancup.com for all the details. Celebrate cannabis in Michigan. Celebrate the resurgence of Detroit. Be part of the growing cannabis community.
Hey, Steve Greene here for Kogo's Original Cannabis Formula Nutrients. What are you, crazy? Spending all that money on all those newts at other places that aren't made for growing cannabis? Kogo's Original Cannabis Formula Nutrients. Go to RadioWeedShow.com right now and check out the promotional pictures. Call now, 517-375-8998. That's 517-375-8998 for Kogo's Original Cannabis Formula Nutrients.
Last year's Halloween weekends at Cedar Point was 6 feet deep of pure horror. This year, we've taken things to an all-new low. Scream and claw your way through 10 grisly attractions, including my 2 newest monstrosities, Blood on the Bayou, where you'll be hunted by twisted freaks of nature through an alligator-infested maze, and the maniacal, mechanical Screamworks. Terror will echo through the dark skies as our legion of thrill machines sends riders hurtling in fear on the likes of Millennium Force, Top Thrill Dragster, and the new Wind Seeker. It will be a scare.
Once in a great while, something new comes along, and nothing is ever the same again.
Is here.
Don't miss Halloween weekends, Friday evenings, Saturdays and Sundays through
the second
Halloween.
generation
For
of
limited
Intel
time,
Core
visit
processors has
cedarpoint.com
arrived.
and enjoy big
Stunning
savings on Halloween
visuals,
weekends
intelligent performance.
If you are a
When
carded
you see
Michigan
it,
medical
you'll
marijuana
know
patient
it.
with a need
And
for
when
safe
you use
access
it,
but have
you'll
reservations
feel it.
about privacy
This
and
is
discretion,
visibly
there is
smart.
an answer. It's the Ant Farm. The Ant Farm is Metro Detroit's trusted professional mobile transfer service. Write this toll-free number down, 888-369-3320. Lab-tested, mold and pesticide-free. It's the Ant Farm's convenience you'll try, but quality standards, privacy, and friendly professionals that will bring you back. The Ant Farm comes to you. Call for discreet details right away. 888-369-3320.
On the waist, through my hair.
The Medical Marijuana
Think about it when you touch me there.
Radio Show.
Close my eyes, here you are, all alone, dancing in the dark.
18 minutes after 12 o'clock, it's the Medical Marijuana Radio Show. Steve Greene here with Dennis Alexander co-hosting with me. Rick Thompson also in studio. And Ryan from the 420 Show. Ryan, come on over here, get behind a microphone, say hello to people while you got a chance.
Hey, how's it going?
Hello,
I am Ryan from the Friday 420 Show.
All right, so Ryan, I just wanted to get a chance to talk about your show a little bit. It's a .com, and I really love it because you guys do product reviews and you keep kind of people abreast of the news. You've got like your own little newscast going on over there.
Yeah.
Tell us about what's happening with the Friday 420 Show.
Well, with the second season, what we have
Get a little closer to my ear.
with the second season, what we're planning to do is actually just clean up all the aesthetic stuff we didn't get right the first time around. So basically, better cameras, better audio, more effort put into certain segments, and we're trying to upgrade the news thing, where it's actually a combination between my friend Joshua Bonker, who's going to be driving up from Ohio, and we're going to basically take one story and cut it apart as much as we can. So all the questions you basically don't get to ask or have in a conversation with a person when you read a normal news article, we're going to try to do that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I noticed you're doing this like in seasons on the Friday 420 show.
Yeah, we try to do it in seasons, but there's always something weird that happens. So suddenly,
Like,
in
you're
our
off season?
time, we
Yeah.
get like millions of little stories worth doing, and then when we're in season, there's always like craziness going back and forth. So it's a huge juggling act, but it's a lot of fun.
I don't know. I could never do the radio weed show thing in seasons. I would be like, I would feel like there's news. Where am I putting it? I've got to do something with it.
Yeah, well, it came from basically we started out as a documentary, and we got so much topical news that was only good for a short increment of time that we decided to split it in half. So we kept all the long-term footage in one side, and then the other footage we tried to release on a weekly basis, and then it took off from there.
So, Ryan, I wanted to also point out the product reviews. What a great thing. I mean, really, nobody ever gets a chance. You got to go into a head shop or someplace and, hey, what does this thing do? It looks funny, but I don't know how to use it.
Yeah.
And you hope the guy explains it to you right, you know?
Product review is actually kind of touchy because we got a lot of products sent to us, and everybody wanted a perfect rating on it. But the problem was we got some products that actually weren't that good. For instance, some of the cleaning products that got sent to us, they were okay, but they weren't anything better than rubbing alcohol and rock salt. I mean, that's basically it. So we actually came out and said, like, look, these are cool, but this is what we actually use for ourselves. So we had to have some level of responsibility there.
Well, that's like the Consumer Reports thing. You know, they don't have advertisers on their magazine, and they actually buy all the products that they review. So that keeps them right on the up and up, you know.
Yeah.
So it's hard to do if you guys going, hey, we want we sent you
Ryan,
our products.
let me know when the
better
bong
tell us.
testing starts.
Okay, we'll do, certainly.
We would love an opportunity to test all the new bongs.
You got it.
Yeah, and there was something that's while you were talking is escaping me now. I wish, this happens all the time.
Your hand is there. How could it escape?
Yeah, I know that the hands do the thinking.
Grab it.
You can't let them go because if you tie up the hands, the mind goes to kaput. There was something. Oh, good Lord! I'm just going to move on to the.
Go for it.
The business with the roadblock sobriety checkpoints, and then I'll get back to. It'll reoccur to me what's going on with the question I had for Ryan.
Ryan will be returned.
Sort of like a flashback.
Okay.
Ooh. The 70s have returned.
So the sobriety checkpoint thing. I mean, I saw news of this, and at first I thought, okay, well, no big deal. It's just kind of it never really caught my eye. I registered it, but it didn't really sink in. And then I saw another report about it, and then a third, and then I was like, okay, what do they? It's not a sobriety checkpoint. This is a narcotics checkpoint.
Yeah, that's the curiosity, Steve. And what really, really piqued my interest was the locations that they set these checkpoints up. It was on the northernmost end of Genesee County and the southernmost end of Genesee County in a non-rural thoroughfare that was actually strangleholding both sides of that county. And I think a lot of folks have the opinion that right now Genesee County is kind of a hotbed of activity for medical marijuana, because there's safe access there. And there's so
Thank
many
God, there's got to be
locations-
someplace.
There's so many locations in the state that we have no safe access. So people are migrating to that area. And I think that they've seen an opportunity to put a stranglehold on Mr. Layton, what he has approved as far as...
Mr. Layton is the Genesee County prosecutor.
Correct. And to try and put some pressure on the folks that are traveling to these places and make them aware of the fact that we know you're out there.
Rick and I were talking before the show about how if they are unsuccessful, law enforcement, at coming after caregivers and patients, people who are growing and providing, at great risk, if they're unsuccessful at putting pressure on them without taking action, that they tend to lean on landlords. And I would say that there's a congruency here in this situation, because if they're unable to reach that area through standard methods and channels, a.k.a. the Attorney General sends messages down to local prosecutors. The local prosecutor disagrees with the AG and says, you know what, I got murderers and rapists to go after, and I'm really not interested, unless there's like
meth labs.
Unless there's a complaint
dealers.
against one of these places, I'm not going to even investigate it. Leave them alone.
Right.
Yep. And so I think I think that's a lot like the caregiver example, where they couldn't affect any measure with the local prosecutor in this instance. So why don't we go to the sheriff and see if we can't squeeze something out of the sheriff in that county?
Yeah, well, that's absolutely what's going on here. You're seeing a situation where we talk about the left hand and the right hand not necessarily know what they're doing. In this case, the left hand and the right hand are fighting, much like Stephen's hands always are. You've got the attorney of the county that says, I will not prosecute these because it's not only is it a waste of time and resources, but it's inappropriate under law. But you have a sheriff that wants to perpetuate a system that's been in existence for 20, 30, 40 years. And as a person who lived and grew up in Flint, right in the heart of Genesee County, I can tell you that it's been a very difficult time for cannabis users in Genesee County the entire time. David Layton has brought a sense of sanity to the area, but now we're seeing that influence from Lansing and from the Police Officers Association creeping in order to change things a little bit in that area that has been considered a safe harbor.
One of the things that I find alarming right now, and I think this very much plays into what exactly we're talking about right now, is what's going on the West Coast. With the kind of pressures that are being put on from multiple directions.
Right.
We're not only seeing the feds approaching these places and telling them to close, but they're taking municipal avenues. They're using ordinances. They're using the IRS.
They're using
HUD. They're using the YMCA, public parks, 15-year operating dispensaries
without complaints.
Without complaints. Are being subjected to a 1,000-foot rule.
And mind you, these are places where local politicians have agreed that this is a good thing for
and
their
this
local
is
area.
a safe situation for our people.
This is the best answer for us.
This is the best answer for our area. And they're taking a new approach. And I think this plays into very much what's going on with these narcotics enforcement checkpoints.
Let's bring the listeners up to speed as to what Dennis is referring to. In California, they've had a rule for many, many years that a 600-foot buffer zone is all that you need between medical marijuana distribution centers and churches and schools and parks and things of that nature. And just recently, in fact, just this last week, the Department of Justice has started to pursue medical marijuana facilities that are within 1,000 feet of that extra 400 feet being the difference between California's law and the federal law. Now, again, without any change in rule, without any presidential edict, they've just decided all of a sudden they want to put this into play. And so now they're utilizing this to hassle medical marijuana facilities. And Dennis's point is exactly correct, that this is a dangerous game they're playing. Now the federal government is utilizing local laws in order to enforce their will, even on cities that don't want the federals involved.
And what's scarier about that is also the angle that they're taking. Now they're approaching the property holders and property owners, and they're threatening those folks.
Well, let's just draw this back to the original point of the conversation, which was these narcotic checkpoints.
Correct.
Let's spell out to them what they're, at least what's being told by witnesses about what these checkpoints are and what they mean.
Yeah, and the checkpoints really are not about stopping anybody that's unsafe to drive. They're not a sobriety checkpoint, as Dennis pointed out. They are basically there just to shake people down to see if they have narcotics. Now, to the best of my knowledge, there's no drug sniffing dog out there that checks for OxyContin
Well, that's
or
the
Vicodin.
curiosity.
What
That's the
narcotics are they
curiosity.
looking for? Right.
You know, I have a Czechoslovakian Shepherd, and Czechoslovakian Shepherds are very intelligent animals. They act by hand motion and signal, and they act by voice command, or a combination of two.
Yeah.
And any police officer can get their dog to react to any vehicle they want simply on a voice or a hand command. And that's what's happening. They see a person that looks in question, and they get the dog to react to the animal so they can pull them off to the side. If they refuse to allow them into the vehicle, it's probable cause then for them to enter the vehicle because the dog reacted.
Here's the thing. If you happen, I'm just going to do a little social experiment here. We get a hard time getting people to call the show. I think people are like, oh, somebody's going to hear me and identify me. I'm going to be known. My cover's going to be blown. I think you're pretty anonymous when you call the radio show, for sure. 855-666-7234. That's 855-MMM radio. If you've seen our signal goes far and wide in Flint. If you've seen some of this activity happening on I-75 or on 23 or on 69 coming in and out of the Flint area, please call us and let us know what you've seen. Give us the report. Give us the heads up, because I've seen some reports on the email and they're kind of scary. I just think that they're outside of the normal prescribes of law. It just doesn't seem like it's. I smell fish. There's a big fish
with
here.
the funding problems that we have in the state, specifically with law enforcement, I'd really like to see where that money came from for those checkpoints.
I can tell
Are
you,
those sobriety checkpoints?
I did a little checking, and I talked to the police up there, and they were saying that that they're using normal hours to do this. I thought, wow, well,
20 state police cars, Genesee County officers, over 11 dogs in one location.
Wow,
that's curiosity. That's a lot of overtime, if you ask me.
It seems to me like, especially considering the city of Pontiac has no police force, they're being policed by Oakland County forces and Michigan State Police. Genesee County, Flint has very little police force. They have assistance from Michigan State Police there too. How can anyone that runs those particular communities think this is an intelligent use of resources?
Cut those men loose from the streets where they could actually be doing some good.
Rapists.
Isn't there some investigation?
Entering, murders.
How many violent crimes are we solving? I think Sharmi Golson came in here and spouted off a whole series of numbers that say, hey, violent crime is not being prosecuted, pursued, or adjudicated in these situations.
Here.
Yep, throughout the entire state. It's not just these particular counties we're talking about. This is a statewide issue. And should they take these checkpoints to Benzie County? Should they take them to Montmorency County, down in Monroe County? Hopefully our community will respond the same way no matter where they appear.
Let's just be clear about what a checkpoint is. They squeeze the traffic down to like one lane or two lanes, and they got guys on both sides and guys in the middle, and they got, standing there with authority and weapon, kind of saying, hey, don't go around us, we got our shotguns out.
They profile you, Steve.
And then they kind of stop people, and then they run drug-sniffing dogs around, and if they don't see anything weird or suspicious or the dog doesn't key, then they let you on through. But in case the dog happens to sit down or gets a flea somewhere, we're ripping your car apart like it's a border security thing.
You're getting profiled, Steve, no matter how you cut it up.
That's absolutely true. And again, to stop anyone without any reasonable suspicion of wrongdoing isn't a violation of the Constitution.
Well, you got to have a reason. If you're going to stop somebody in the normal flow of citizenry moving about in their own area, you got to kind of have a reason to stop people if you're going to pursue them further. Mm-hmm. You can't just go, hey, everybody's got to stop. We want to make sure you're not looking for an individual here. Your
eyes are awfully compressed, Steve. We're going to pull you over and we're going to shake you down because I think you're a Chinaman at some point, and they're a little red and you're a little beady, and I think we're gonna.
I didn't take my Claritin, officer. My Claritin's it's missing. Is it in the back seat?
You look like an Asian, and I don't think you are an Asian, Steve.
Good Lord.
Well, let's face it though too. There are a lot of ailments and illnesses which result in tremors, which result in speech impediments, which result in slack body musculature. There's a lot of things that can make you look like you're intoxicated or medicated at some point where you have absolutely no reason to. Now, why in the world are those people who are obviously sick and ill to begin with going to be subject to extra shakedown searches? A felony traffic stop, folks, is no joke.
No, they back you up on against a gun. They won't let you look at them while they're taking you out of the car.
If you're having a reaction to ragweed and your eyes are all watery and red, guess what? You've been profiled.
Yeah, that's a whole mess. I mean, the whole pullover thing is a mess.
That's a scary
I think it's a little scary. It's if you're going down the road and you're doing nothing wrong and you're not speeding and you're not whirving all over the road and you're not distracted driving with on your, you got to do something.
I think we're
wrong.
truly stretching the long arm of the law, Steve.
I just don't expect that our citizens should be pulled over and shaken down because somebody's got an inkling that there might be something going on.
Well, perhaps that's what the impasse is between the prosecutor's office and the police department. We always know that the police department wants to always go to enforcement methods because that's all they know. We know that attorneys want to go to legal methods because that's all they know, and legislators want to go to legislative methods because that's all they know.
Guess what? I know all of them.
That's right, and that's why we have people that are supposed to make decisions based on this guy's right, this guy's wrong. Everybody can't always be right, especially when they want different things.
Well, I guess it's going to be a never-ending story. There's always going to be the cat and the mouse is always going to have babies.
Self-perpetuating circle.
You catch one mouse and there's going to be 5 more mice. It's the name of the game.
It just keeps going round.
I think that's a good thing, though, when you talk. Steph Scherer made a statement about how in California their answer to federal interdiction on dispensaries out there initially, when they first came out and made some threats and started closing places down out there, 3 of them. There's like, 1,000+ dispensaries in California. They closed down a couple of them, and then their answer the next day is 11 more popped open. So I think that safety in numbers for sure.
Well, one of the things that I'm addressing, and I excuse me for a minute, Rick, I read an article this morning that hit the AP relative to a statement by the feds, the Attorney General, as well as a prosecutor for Los Angeles County, relative to the closing and the avenues they're taking to close these operations in California. And one thing really struck me strange. that the reason they're closing these places, and this was the general statement they made, is because these people are getting rich on sick people. Well, oh my God. Let's talk about Henry Ford Health System.
Oh, wow.
Let's talk about Carmano's Cancer Care.
The Humana Society down in the South.
Society, Mayo Clinics. Let's talk about I can go on and on, Steve. Let's talk about Mr. Cheney getting rich on a bird flu vaccine because he heard the country was buying millions of doses on an upcoming epidemic. We hadn't even contracted it yet. Mr. Cheney bought 40% of that pharmaceutical company before the U.S. purchased those vaccines and became a very wealthy man. Let's talk about Enron.
Yeah.
And our troops protecting all those oil transports across Iraq during the first war.
Look, I say
it goes on and on and on. Let's talk about capitalism.
I'd rather talk about the idea that we besmirch the reputation of soldiers when we encroach on freedom in the United States of America. That's what I want to talk about.
Here.
Amen.
Look, we got just a couple of minutes left in this, a couple of seconds left in this break. Don't go away. It's the Medical Marijuana Radio Show on 1310 AM, Detroit's Progressive Talk.
More of your calls next on the Medical Marijuana Radio Show. The Medical Marijuana Radio Network.
In the 30 seconds it takes to listen to this ad, Go Comedy Improv Theater could have taken you, well, anywhere. A farm, a submarine, a football game, space, a football game in space, a maternity ward, an action movie, Paris, your mom's house.
Hi, honey.
Kwame's new house. You give suggestions, we make stuff up. Go Comedy Improv Theater in Ferndale. Improv and sketch comedy 5 nights a week. Every night, it's a brand new night. So where do you want to go? Visit gocomedy.net for information on shows, classes, and more.
Last year's Halloweekends at Cedar Point was 6 feet deep of pure horror. This year, we've taken things to an all-new low. Scream and claw your way through 10 grisly attractions, including my 2 newest monstrosities, Blood on the Bayou, where you'll be hunted by twisted freaks of nature through an alligator-infested maze, and the maniacal, mechanical Screamworks. Terror will echo through the dark skies as our legion of thrill machines sends riders hurtling in fear on the likes of Millennium Force, Top Thrill Dragster, and the new Wind Seeker. It will be a scare beyond compare. Halloweekends at Cedar Point. All you fear is here.
Don't miss Halloweekends, Friday evenings, Saturdays and Sundays through Halloween. For a limited time, visit cedarpoint.com and enjoy big savings on Halloweekends tickets.
Well, this formula is specifically to grow cannabis.
That's Ray Kogo for Kogo's Original Cannabis Formula Nutrients.
Now, everybody knows that large buds and tight buds come from genetics, and then the amount of light you use. The other part is having the correct nutrients that the plant's going to use. Mine specifically to grow cannabis, so it's going to get everything that it needs.
Ray knows what you may not. Those nutrient companies you can get in most grow shops are not cannabis specific. That means they take the stuff out of the bloom that your plant needs in bloom. You can get Kogo's Original Cannabis Formula Nutrients too. It's just 2 1-gallon jugs that make over 600 gallons of nutrients, all for less than $100. See the difference for yourself.
More trichomes, bigger buds, faster growth, and for less money.
Go to CANNABISformula.com or call Ray direct at 517-375-8998. That's 517-375-8998. Kogo's Original Cannabis Formula Nutrients.
The Greene Collective.
Hey, medical marijuana patients, it's time to discover what all the buzz is about in Ann Arbor.
The Greene Collective.
The Green Bee Collective is busy making sure your patient needs are met with high-quality, locally grown meds.
The Greene Collective.
Get to know the information, the research, the benefit available to your condition.
The Greene Collective.
Weekly specials in just minutes from downtown Ann Arbor and I-94.
The Greene Collective.
The details are sweet at mmmgreenbee.com. Call 734-929-2553 now.
The High Times Medical Cannabis Cup is coming to Detroit on October 15th and 16th. That's right. The world's premier medical marijuana competition will be in Motown to celebrate the cannabis economy of the Great Lakes State. It's a 2-day expo at Burt's Warehouse Theater, showcasing the movers and shakers of the Michigan medical marijuana industry and the merchandise that makes the machine go. There will be seminars with leaders of the medical marijuana movement, doctors, patients, researchers, growers, growers, dispensary owners, and activists. Plus, High Times own cultivation editors Danny Danko and Nico Escondido will roll into town with the goods on growing great ganja. Be there for an amazing Saturday night VIP party featuring top musical performances and special guests. High Times will award the Medical Cannabis Cup for top indicas, sativas, hybrids, concentrates, and edibles. Entered by Michigan's dispensaries and collectives. Come to Burt's Warehouse Theater on October 15 and 16. Visit medcancup.com for all the details. Celebrate cannabis in Michigan. Celebrate the resurgence of Detroit. Be part of the growing cannabis community.
It's the Medical Marijuana Radio Show.
All right, 20 minutes till 1 o'clock. Boy, time flies by, and it's expensive, folks. Boy, it's minute by minute. Dollar, ching, ching, ching. Got to move on. Steve Greene here. It's the Medical Marijuana Radio Show here every Saturday from noon until 1 o'clock. You can find us on RadioWeedShow.com, where, incidentally, all kinds of new features are found. You can see, number one, some advanced stuff going on with the Ustream. We've made the page load faster, all kinds of technical crap. But we've got a timer on there so you can find out when the next time is that we're going to be doing live broadcasting. That's kind of important. There's a new feature on there where you can actually log in. You can become a member of the website. I think all you need to do is give them an email address. It does a confirmation, and then you've got a login. And there's an avatar on there. You can change your avatar, and soon you'll be able to post content. So if you've got a video or some great pictures, or if you've seen a bust going down, or if you want to put a little comment in there about what you saw last Thursday and why that incensed you, or what you did with your local lawmakers, there's ways that you'll be able to do that. And then also looking forward, coming up next weekend, the High Times event. You don't want to miss that. That's going to be huge. Giant news, the High Times Medical Cannabis Cup first annual happening at Burt's Warehouse Theater the 15th and 16th, both days next weekend. It should be beautiful. God, it's gorgeous out today. I hope we have weather like this next weekend. Either way, it's inside and outside. And then they've got the warehouse. There's a great concert theater. They have a concert event after. It's like a VIP thing. You have to buy the VIP tickets to get into the concert thing. But go ahead.
Do you have your VIP tickets?
I didn't get them yet. I'm still waiting for the package to come in the mail.
Imagine that.
Anticipating with bated breath.
We're all waiting for our VIP
we
passes.
Are all
of us. High Time staff, just to let you know, we're all waiting.
We're
waiting for our passes, guys.
It's a race for me. I've also got some hardware coming to do the streaming stuff with. I had to buy a new motherboard, a new chipset. Good Lord.
Toys.
Those i5 Pentium 4 quad-core processors are expensive, let me tell you.
Ooh.
So that thing we're not on the regular radio next weekend. I wanted to get this in before because we're preempted by sports again. On again, off again, on again, off again. Boy, Denise picked a good time to do sportsing with her boys. So we're going to be actually streaming this with multiple camera coverage. We'll have commercial breaks, graphics. It'll just be a TV show on the internet. Nothing like what you see up here now. I'm waving at the camera. Hello. It's too bad the
Hi,
camera.
Denise.
The camera's pointed in an odd angle.
How would you like to have Denise as your soccer coach?
Oh, boy.
Boy.
I don't know. It depends on how old I was, I suppose.
She's tough.
I don't know.
Okay, inappropriate talking.
Hey, Denise loves it. Her ears are
back on topic, you guys.
Love you, Denise.
Okay, so back to the subject. So what's going on this week? What's looking forward? What's happening? You were mentioning some stuff, Rick.
Sure. One of the great things about our community is that we're always thinking of new ways to get together and have a good time, and also to spread the information and the knowledge that we need. Today, Saturday, the Macomb-Oakland Compassion Club is having their Harvest Fest. This is the third annual, folks. They're always having a good time at Macomb-Oakland Compassion Club. That's out in Macomb Township. You can find information on that event at www.thc4u.com. THC4U.com. That'll give you instructions on how to get there. The ticket price is very reasonable, and it is reserved for patients and caregivers only.
Great events. MOCC does a great job with their events. I was with the Wake and Bake last year. What a great event.
What a great time. And the Roll and Bowl also, which was an event of theirs. That was a blast as well.
The Roll and Bowl and the Wake and Bake. Where do you guys come up with these
Wake and Bake.
One was a bowling event. One was a pool event.
I think the Wake and Bake was sponsored by Big Daddies.
Well, one of them, Matthew Abel, also had a big booth out there. He provided a bunch of food. There were a lot of sponsors in those events.
La Perfetto Cappuccino was there with their espresso bars.
Oh, I wonder who does that. The Magic Oven guy. Yes, exactly.
Plug.
Hey, I don't mind at all. Hey, did you see Puff Daddy's is getting a new location out there in Wyandotte? What a great
Puff Daddy's
Puff Danny's.
Wyandotte.
Puff Danny's.
Puff Danny. You got to love that guy.
He's right there, I think, at the turnaround. So you got to kind of see him where the turnaround is there out at the border. I'm not really familiar with the Wyandotte area, but I'm going to go out there and take some pictures and show you his new place. So you get some great glass supplies from Puff Danny. What an amazing guy.
Puff Danny's Glass Boutique.
Interesting to watch those guys blow glass. They can do it indoors, outdoors. They're really very crafty. The artist factor in the glass blowing is never to be underestimated.
Okay, so also this week, leading up to this the High Times event, I'm missing something. There's something missing my radar. I'm missing my cue cards. Tell me what I'm missing. Is anybody? Nothing? Yeah, I'm missing the hand tie. I need some tape on my fingers.
Maybe the magic oven can provide some oven mitts.
Yeah,
for your hands.
we're going to put notes on those oven mitts for Steve. He's having I think a medical marijuana moment.
I can tell you there was some news this week that happened. I went up and tried to meet with my state representative, Mike Kowal, state senator Mike Kowal. Unfortunately, the day that I was supposed to come up, they had my home number and they were trying to call me to say, hey, I was already on my way. We had to reschedule an emergency. He's a head of a economic development committee, and
don't stop that.
They were talking about the bridge going on, so there's all that stuff happening with the bridge. So there was all these people from Detroit down there at the committee hearing talking about
the bridge.
And so I didn't get a chance to meet with. I drove all that way and just cleared my slate, and that didn't work out. So there's an upcoming meeting with Senator Mike Kowal, and it seemed like some of the vibes that I got from that office were good. I mean, I was rather surprised. My state representative is Hugh Crawford, and Representative Crawford seemed to be, I don't know, I don't want to, peg anything the wrong way without having met with the man, but it seemed to be a little more distant, a little more cold, the connection there.
He had his hearing aid turned off, Steve.
I don't know. He represents the area that I live in, which is Lyon Township, Novi, Oakland County area, that Western District area. And I just said, look, you guys, I went to his office and I said, I called you a couple of times and I've left some messages. And so here I am. I told you I was coming down to meet with this other guy today. Is there a way to meet with you? Can I?
He turned his bad ear to you.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think so. I think they're part of this is like some of this stuff is still in committee hearing. There's no reason to talk about this yet, until it comes out of committee and it's up for an actual vote. And I'm not in any of. I think there's some.
Are
of
you
that.
a registered voter, Steve?
I am indeed.
Well, then you have an opinion, don't you?
I do, and I reiterated and underscored the idea that legislators talking with their constituents is of the utmost importance because it is indeed their job to represent those people.
Hear, hear.
So, they don't just work. They don't just have a job there with a desk and they get to go do what they want. They actually are supposed to chime in and weigh for the citizens they represent. And let's hope
Imagine
that they
that. Is that how that works?
It's a representative form of government. It's supposed to be how it works.
It really still is, despite the fact that the corruption's weaned its way in. By
the people, for the people, of the people?
You were mentioning, blow some more steam about Shooty there. You were talking about the Dow.
Oh, boy, oh, boy, oh, boy.
Because when you look at the politicians, they all have ties to dollars that are all special interests.
What really gets me
Senator
going about this,
Jones.
Steve, is the headlines this morning, AP, that one of our prosecutors, our federal prosecutors, one of the county prosecutors in Los Angeles was standing in front of an audience for a news brief, and the reasoning they used when they were asked why they were doing this was because these people are getting rich on sick people. Well, let's examine that just real briefly. Mr. Shooty
making huge profits. That's what
it's about huge profits. They're stating that these people are getting rich. Well, I really want to examine that because, to my knowledge, our Attorney General also is one of the heirs to the Dow Chemical fortune, who partially owns three major pharmaceutical firms who are getting rich on, guess who? The sick. Wow.
Well, and also, they want a piece of this whole medical cannabis pie. If there's
let's talk about Dick Cheney.
We don't got enough time to talk
Good
about
Lord.
Cheney.
I
Watch
mean,
out, George.
Yeah,
Right.
Mr. Cheney, did you not buy up a whole bunch of stock in a pharmaceutical company that was manufacturing vaccines for the bird flu just before our government contracted millions and millions of doses?
Yeah, Cheney's going to croak pretty soon. Who
He
cares?
got rich on the deal. And we're talking about a few people who were good business people with solid backgrounds that decided to go into an industry and actually turned a buck. Oh, my God.
Hey, I happen to be on first-name basis with a lot of those people in Michigan, and I'll tell you what, none of them are rich.
Well, let me tell you a little secret. I'm not getting rich, guys.
Yeah, no, look, I'm a caregiver. I still have a huge electric bill. I don't know how I'm going to pay it. You know why? Because I take care of people. I try and take care of people where they can't afford it. I'll burden it on my back. More to come up on the Medical Marijuana Radio Show, folks. Don't go away.
Got something to say?
Call now toll free. 855-MMM Radio. The Medical Marijuana Radio Network.
Hey, Steve Greene here for Kogo's Original Cannabis Formula Nutrients. What are you, crazy? Spending all that money on all those newts at other places that aren't made for growing cannabis? Kogo's Original Cannabis Formula Nutrients. Go to RadioWeedShow.com right now and check out the promotional pictures. Call now, 517-375-8998. That's 517-375-8998 for Kogo's Original Cannabis Formula Nutrients.
The High Times Medical Cannabis Cup is coming to Detroit on October 15th and 16th. That's right. The world's premier medical marijuana competition will be in Motown to celebrate the cannabis economy of the Great Lakes State. It's a 2-day expo at Burt's Warehouse Theater, showcasing the movers and shakers of the Michigan medical marijuana industry and the merchandise that makes the machine go. There will be seminars with leaders of the medical marijuana movement, doctors, patients, researchers, growers, dispensary owners, and activists. Plus, High Times own cultivation editors Danny Danko and Nico Escondido will roll into town with the goods on growing great ganja. Be there for an amazing Saturday night VIP party featuring top musical performances and special guests. High Times will award the Medical Cannabis Cup for top indicas, sativas, hybrids, concentrates, and edibles. Entered by Michigan's dispensaries and collectives. Come to Burt's Warehouse Theater on October 15 and 16. Visit medcancup.com for all the details. Celebrate cannabis in Michigan. Celebrate the resurgence of Detroit. Be part of the growing cannabis community.
If you are a carded Michigan medical marijuana patient with a need for safe access but have reservations about privacy and discretion, there is an answer. It's the Ant Farm. The Ant Farm is Metro Detroit's trusted professional mobile transfer service. Write this toll-free number down, 888-369-3320. Lab-tested, mold and pesticide-free. It's the Ant Farm's convenience you'll try, but quality standards, privacy, and friendly professionals that will bring you back. The Ant Farm comes to you. Call for discreet details right away. 888-369-3320.
When I was young, I knew something was wrong. My mother would forget to pick me up from school.
Drugs and alcohol may make you forget your problems. And more.
Then she remembered something. Me! My mom worked hard to be in recovery, and now she is here for me. Hi, Mom!
You ready? Let's go!
For drug and alcohol treatment for you or someone you love, call 1-800-662-HELP. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Last year's Halloween Weekends at Cedar Point was 6 feet deep of pure horror. This year, we've taken things to an all-new low. Scream and claw your way through 10 grisly attractions, including my 2 newest monstrosities, Blood on the Bayou, where you'll be hunted by twisted freaks of nature through an alligator-infested maze, and the maniacal, mechanical Screamworks. Terror will echo through the dark skies as our legion of thrill machines sends riders hurtling in fear on the likes of Millennium Force, Top Thrill Dragster, and the new Wind Seeker. It will be a scare beyond compare. Halloween Weekends at Cedar Point. All you fear is here.
Don't miss Halloween Weekends, Friday evenings, Saturdays and Sundays through Halloween. For a limited time, visit cedarpoint.com and enjoy big savings on Halloween Weekends tickets. The Patient's Place for medical marijuana education and safe access is Third Coast. Beautiful downtown Ypsilanti is where you can get safe, affordable access to education and materials concerning your specific needs and quality products designed to meet your exacting needs. It's the Third Coast, 19 North Hamilton in Ypsilanti. Convenient hours, friendly, professional, compassionate. Call Third Coast today, 734-487-5402. That's the Third Coast Compassion Center in downtown Ypsilanti, 734-487-5402.
It's the Medical Marijuana Radio Show.
I'm feeling sexy and free.
Oh, feeling sexy.
Like glitters raining on
Okay, so I'm about to fly away with the fingers again. Every time I talk, the fingers just fly. I don't know what happens. I don't know where it grew on me, but it started like, I don't know, like a bad fungus. It just keeps going. Just a few minutes left in the show. Wanted to recap some of the stuff that's going on coming up next weekend. And then also talk about, what do we? Is there anything else we got to recap? We were leaving somewhere. I'm just brain farting today. Tell me, help me out here, guys. Oh, yeah, Mike.
And Mike, there you go. We were actually talking about briefly the statement by the feds on the West Coast relative to closings of dispensaries. And one of the things that I really take an issue with this is that apparently under our government's rule that there's only specific individuals that are allowed to get rich, allowed to make money, allowed to have a comfortable lifestyle.
It's
and they are quoting...
Story.
I am quoting that particular statement as these people are getting rich on sick people. I could get on a soapbox and talk about this all afternoon, Steve. It's very irritating.
Look, the states, they've always look. When's the last time you saw a rich guy on death row?
Here you go.
When's the last time you saw a wealthy man sitting in prison for any period of time, aside from the Madoffs of the world?
Yep.
Right, so this is exactly the procedure we need to go through in order to stop that from happening more commonly, is by identifying it, talking about it, making sure that people have the appropriate level of outrage, and then taking that anger and transforming it into action to resolve the issues.
I think we ran from a lot of these things when we created ourselves as a country. There was unreasonable search and seizure. There was forced quartering. There was all this stuff that was going on that was oppression by a regime that was a dictatorship in the form of a king's world.
Well, this is very respective of a dictatorship, basically, with regard to what's going on out there.
When people disregard the overt will of the people for their own special interests, that's just corruption at its finest.
Yep, and I think that we're looking at that as an example here in Michigan as a microcosm of what's happening nationally. But if you look at California, there have been several moves recently, and as we know, what the feds do in California is just a precursor to what they're going to do to us and the rest of the nation.
It's a testing grounds for further action, guys.
Well, they can certainly see where the masses are and how they respond to certain stimulus.
Make sure you keep your ear to the pavement on this one, folks, because I guarantee you this stuff is going to radiate, it's going to expand, and we're going to see it on our own turf.
Okay, stickering. That's the thing I think I was missing. I wanted to talk about stickering.
We were talking about stickers.
So we were talking about how they deny people medical marijuana defenses. They'll bar bagger you. They'll bar bagger you for sure if they get a chance. Oh, you didn't have a lock on your door. Or it wasn't locked when we came. Or, there was some other thing you did. You're not completely enclosed. There's a place here where something can get through. That's not an enclosure.
There's a seat on the floor outside your room? That's it, guys.
It's just about trying to minimize your ability to utilize the program, and then therefore call you criminal otherwise.
Minimize your defense.
That's right. Well, that's our ability. The whole thing pretty much the whole thing that the program does for us is give us a defense.
Correct.
Give us a methodology by which we can make this work. And if they take the defense away, they've just gutted the program.
Well, they've not only gutted the program, but they made us all sitting ducks because now we're on a big fancy list.
And now we're all criminals. Look, I didn't do this before the program started. I would never have planted marijuana before the program started.
If you listened to the Fed's statement yesterday, he already said we're tantamount to drug addicts. We are a bunch of drug addicts.
The ATF letter itself said so much. It said anybody that is a user of marijuana, whether they're registered with their state or not, is technically by federal rule an addict. A controlled substance addicted user, whether your doctor recommended it or not. They really don't care.
And you don't get a gun. You're just
folks. Are you listening out there? They're calling us all addicts now. We've been classified.
But it's okay to put a silencer on your gun though if you want to go rob somebody and blow their brains out in the party store. You could buy a silencer. Yeah, I don't get it.
Depends on if you're under the guises of the U.S. government. You can get away with just about anything you want.
So, don't go out there and register a firearm if you've got a medical marijuana card. Look, I've already got indication of every indication of. I think it was widely reported in the news, if I'm not mistaken. And I'll double check my facts, but I believe the information with our state's registry program has been cross-referenced with the ATF.
Correct.
And that means the ATF has got a list of the patient registry. How that happens is beyond me, given that it's supposed to be protected in private under every auspice of our local law.
There was supposed to be protected access to that information.
And that means if you're a registered gun owner and also registered with the program, they're looking to bang your door because they're calling you a felon. They've got Part A and Part B as evidence of your felonious activity, and they're going to come and knock your door. So be careful. I would take every precaution in making sure that you have no firearms on your premises in case you think that could happen to you, because they're going to charge you and they're not. Even if you are allowed to have your medical marijuana defense,
if you had firearms on your
They're going
new
to charge you with a
residency,
federal firearm.
You're not going to get your medical marijuana argument, and then you're going to get a felony.
That's right. So watch out, folks, because they're coming at you from different angles. If they can't get you on that, they'll get you with try and get the neighbors to complain on you. They're actually in Flint. I've got reports of Eric was telling me up there. Eric Gunnels was saying there's guys up there knocking on neighbors' doors, actually asking them to complain. Look, you know this guy's growing some marijuana next door. Are you sure you don't want to complain about him? Look, you are not out there to solicit complaints from the public. Wait till they call you. If somebody wants to complain, I think they got your number. It's 911.
We barely have enough money to keep you on the road, and you're going to go beating on folks' doors and try and create a complaint?
Now, that's something I've not heard of before. Going to a neighbor's house and informing them that the person next door is a medical marijuana patient and asking if they want to complain about that?
Just so they can gain access, so they can close them down, because they cannot do it otherwise.
But the revelation of the patient status itself is a HIPAA violation, and that itself is dischargeable.
I just think that it's an awful, awful thing. Maybe they didn't say medical. Maybe it's all about argument when you get to court. Oh, did you say medical or didn't you? Who are you going to believe? I think they're going to believe the cops. Running out of time, folks. If you want to participate further from this point on, next weekend we're not on, make sure you join us for the High Times Medical Cannabis Cup event. We're going to be streaming all day, both days, and we should be able to have you call in. Not sure if we've got to make room on the radio or not. If we do come on the radio, it will be later on in the day, because during the regulars program, we are preempted by sports. Thanks for joining us. Thanks, Dennis. Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you, Steve.
Thanks, Rick. We'll see you next time.
The Medical Marijuana Radio Show and RadioWeedShow.com are trademarks. Copyright 2011. The Medical Marijuana Radio Network.
Identify yourself, please.
This is Detroit.